were there moments where you wanted to give up during that transition?
Gosh, those are really great questions because I think we're faced with those moments. Those are those challenging moments when an obstacle comes in your way and you're like, what does this mean? And we like to define it as that I'm giving up. It's not for me. Thankfully, because I've studied mindset, it really helps in these moments. And I get more curious. I think, like you said, like, why am I feeling these emotions? What is it specifically? For example, I remember when I was doing the accounting for 9 of my properties, doing 2 shows and just being like, I am so overwhelmed. Like, I can't do this. And being like, okay, let's reflect. Is it I don't like real estate or I just need help? I just need to, to kind of pass on the responsibility. And that's when I'm like, maybe I should get an accountant. I don't need to wear all the hats anymore. And I realized when I let go of that responsibility, I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel so
Yeah.
bad anymore. It's not that I didn't like. Or for example, with my coaching, I had this moment where I was sitting at the desk all the time and I'm like, okay, I love the coaching, but my body doesn't feel right. And that's where I had the moment of like, okay, I need to be on my feet. I got curious. Is it the coaching or is it just something about how I'm doing it that can change and actually help me? And I was like, oh, so I just need to be on my feet. I just need to move around. I need to be in front of people. Now I'm fired up. Now I'm like, woo, yeah, give me more. I'm energetic. So it's like when I reached those moments, I had to get curious and ask myself, where is this coming from? Is
Mhm.
it the actual thing that I'm doing that I need to give up on? Or is it just an aspect that maybe I can offload or I can maybe change the path a little bit?
Yep.
So those are
Yep.
the things that really helped me.
Welcome to Recast and Rise, the podcast for performers and creatives ready to explore what's next. You'll hear inspiring stories of artists who reinvented themselves and found new careers after the stage. Let's recast and rise. Tina, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to have a conversation with you. You were a very, very, very successful dancer, and I want to hear all about your career. But I also want to hear about your career transition, right? How now you've transitioned from being a dancer to what you're doing now. So let's start by having you sharing what you did as a performer.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me, Ev. I love what you're doing. This is wonderful for artists who are transitioning. This is so important. And I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. So, my career. Okay. Well, I was so fortunate to have a long career, a 30-year career as a dancer. I started out with traditional dance companies like Hubbard Street and River North Dance Company. And then I moving to Las Vegas and I did the Celine Dion show. I was one of the dance captains for a long time. I did 3 different Cirque shows. The Beatles Love, which we did together, which is so wonderful. Michael Jackson won, and I did an Immortal World Tour. And then I did the Radio City Rockettes. I did Broadway, the Fosse show. I did a variety of things. Those are probably the highlights.
So
And then
great.
now, yeah,
No, please continue.
I know the transition now. Yeah, now
Oh, yeah.
I'm coaching, mindset coaching, and I'm also a real estate investor. And I started another company called Let's Play Intimacy with my husband just now. So doing a lot of things.
Obviously, you've done a lot through your career. It's very inspiring. I'd like to kind of unpack how did you approach your career transition? So what was the latest performing job that you had? We'll start there. What was your latest one?
The last one I did was the Michael Jackson one at Mandalay Bay, Cirque du
Okay.
Soleil show, all
Yeah.
Michael Jackson theme. And I was a dancer and a character in that show. And I did that all the way up until March of 2020 when COVID hit. That was my last show. I didn't know it was going to be my last show, but that was my last show. And I did that for 6 years.
And well, first, sorry to hear that was the end of COVID. COVID is a milestone for all of us for different reasons. So COVID happened. So would you say that transition, like, was it something that you anticipated? Were you working on kind of your next project, or were you working on what was next while you were performing, or everything kind of like, okay, I got to figure it out what's next for me?
That's a great question. My transition actually started way back when I had another ending in life. I actually went through a divorce early on in my life. And at that point, I started thinking about my future because when I went through this divorce, I had a whole realization about financial stability. And that's when so I was in my dance career at this point, going through this, and I realized that I had to take my financial responsibility into my own hands because I had the foresight knowing I couldn't dance forever. I mean, I wanted to dance as long as I could, don't get me wrong, but I had already started thinking about how can I create passive income? what can I do? So that's got my wheels turning for the real estate investing. So when that happened, I was reading books and doing that while I was dancing. And then with the coaching, what I'm doing now, that actually started a little bit before the end. So in 2019, I discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. I love his work. I started geeking out reading his books. And what had happened is I started playing around with his meditations. Okay. And I had a very objective healing. It was really kind of cool. I had to get these scans at the doctor's 3 months apart. Okay. And when I did them, my doctor on the second scan, I was like, Dina, what are you doing? This is like, did you change something? Your scans are like night and day. And I was like, no, I haven't done anything. She said, did you change your diet? No. Exercise? No. And I said, you know what? I started meditating. And when I saw what that did in my life, that planted a seed. So I'm still working with dance, but now I'm interested in something. Now I've discovered this little magic in my life that I wanted to kind of research more, play with more. So I was already in the mindset or already in the path of like, I like this. This is interesting for me. And moving forward, getting closer to 2020, I had had a child at this point. She was 4. I'm getting older now. COVID hits. We have all this time. And I'm like, well, now is the perfect opportunity to dive more into what I found interesting, which was the whole power of the mind. And so that's when I started researching more. So the coaching part kind of came natural afterwards. Or I don't want to say it came natural, but it came as a flow, just a development that one step kept unfolding after the other. I'd learn about something and be like, oh, I want to learn more. And I'd learn more about it. So that's how that happened. I took some classes over COVID and I started studying NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which is simply how successful people, it's the study of how successful people operate, how they communicate with others, how they communicate with themselves. It's something actually Tony Robbins uses a lot in his work. So I got really interested in that. And I started geeking out over it. I would tell everyone about it, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. You got to try this out. And so as I noticed myself saying, you got to try this out, this is what it did for me, I was reflecting like, oh my gosh, I love telling people about it. I love sharing this. And that's what got me interested in, well, maybe I should coach this. And then I went back to school and started coaching or, taking a coaching course to get certified.
So you were doing real estate and now you are a coach. So you were doing those two things at once, which is very interesting because those are seems to be a bit different as far as what it requires. Real estate is, finding renters and make sure the house is clean. And the coaching seems to have that like really in-depth aspect of the work. It's like two different spheres. That's so interesting.
It is interesting. And I love it because it gets to tap into two different sides of me.
Yeah.
The side of me that loves to be hands-on. A lot of the times when I was first starting out in real estate, I was doing a lot of the work myself.
I remember you were doing everything, and I think you will agree with your coaching. When you start a business or you start a venture, you often wear all the hats.
All the hats.
All the
yes.
hats. All the hats.
Good thing I'm a performer and we love wearing different hats, right? It's part of who we are. See? The nice thing is I had been doing the real estate, so that was kind of flowing. But, there's some similarities. It's working with people who have problems. When a tenant calls me, they have an issue. No one's calling me to say, hey, I just want you to know I love your place. And that's it. Bye. They might say I love your place, but then they'll be like, and the HVAC isn't working. I noticed a crack here and blah, 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 blah. So it's a lot about working with people on their problems. And coaching is the same thing. I'm listening and I'm here to help. Like I'm here to serve when it comes to coaching. I love helping people achieve their dreams and goals, and I had dreams and goals. I still have dreams and goals. And so it's really fulfilling and satisfying to work with people that way. And so I love the variety. I love that I get to be a little bit on my feet. Actually, later today, I'm going to go make a drain. I'm still doing a few things here and there because I've grown and that's actually one of the things I love about both of these. I'm growing as a person in different ways. I'm growing a skill set. So I have a house too. So everything I learn with the rentals and the Airbnbs, I can do myself. And then I get the opportunity to, coach people, maybe go on a retreat, hold a course. So it's really fulfilling.
Let me ask you, we'll focus on the real estate first, and then we'll talk about the coaching. Would you say that working in real estate world and wearing all the hats, something that you planned or you saw yourself doing? Like, think about Tina maybe 10 years ago. Is that something that you were thinking of doing as a career?
It was something I had when I was in my first relationship. My ex had come from a family of investing. I had never seen that. My father is from Germany. He only went to eighth grade. My mother only has a high school education. So he shifted my perspective of what's possible. I needed to see that. And then when we split up, I realized I can do this too. Why not me? Why not me? I learned how to dance. I got where I am now with Cirque du Soleil, Celine Dion, all these amazing jobs. Why not me too? And I had to overcome a little fear of the unknown. You know, I've never done this before, but I didn't realize then I was using my mindset. All the tools I learned now, like real tools, and I have them in a book. I was actually already using, asking myself questions like, why not me? I can do this too. Shifting my beliefs around and just going for it. You know, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you just got to go for it.
Yeah.
That's usually our biggest teacher. When you just do it, you learn a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you give it it's, and you kind of answered my other question. If you saw yourself becoming a coach, when it was just like the next step, it's just a natural evolution of where you are going.
Exactly. And naturally, I found myself already talking about it, already getting excited about it, sharing it, helping people already. Like, hey, well, maybe try that. I learned this. This helped me. Maybe it'll help you. And just going from there. And actually, even the business I have with my husband was born organically. It's an intimacy coaching. So I'm using all my skill set. It's helping couples reignite their passion, finding connection. And it was by people saying, hey, I noticed this with you. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, Cam and I are doing this. This is my husband, Cam. And, you know, this is what we do. And we just started sharing it. And it started, oh, this is really great. Can you tell me more? And things just started happening organically.
So tell us more. You have the real estate, you have the NLP, and the business with your husband. So tell us more about that third venture that the third business that you have.
I would love to. And I think this is such an important thing to anyone that's listening, any artist that's listening, to keep following your passion, because what I found in my experience. So I started with the coaching and I'm loving it. But what I'm realizing is I miss being on my feet. You know, that performer side, we're in front of an audience, we're in front of people. And I started thinking, well, gosh, how can I bring these together? And that's when I started doing some public speaking. I was like, oh, wow, I can share my message still. And I get to be in front of people. And then this intimacy course started because people were noticing the energy Cam and I had. And we get approached all the time. You know, how long you guys been together? And we're like, oh, almost 18 years. And they're like, what? 18 years? You guys look like you're a brand new couple. How are you? You know, what's your secret? What are you doing? And we started sharing about our love language, about things, how we prioritize intimacy and date nights. And they were like, wow, that's interesting. Can you tell me more? And so from that, I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Hang on. What if we start an intimacy workshop where I get to talk about mindset and coaching? I get to be in front of people and I get to share another passion of mine, which is working with my husband and sharing our like intimacy tips and tricks, you know, and coaching that way. All this, the path keeps becoming clearer and clearer. Like every step I take, I'm learning how I can put what I love together, you know? And I think as artists, we can do that too. We have so many skills that maybe we don't want to necessarily let go of. We don't want to stop performing. So it's like, how do you reinvent yourself in a new way? How can you still perform, but maybe where it's not as taxing on your body, you know, or you can do it for the long haul for the rest of your life.
Yes, and
So,
still nurturing what you love, which all the passions and the relationship with your husband.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love that. It's
Yeah.
really cool how it's all unfolding without even trying. Just the universe keeps laying out. We just got an opportunity now. We're going to be experts on Temptation Cruise Line, where we're going to get to share our workshop now on an adult cruise line, which is really kind of fun. I never, when you talk about, did you see yourself doing this 10 years ago? No, never. I mean, maybe you saw the signs in the dressing room, but
Maybe.
but it's really cool how it keeps unfolding and just being open to change and allowing it to morph how it needs to be. And then I just follow my excitement. You know, will I stay coaching one-on-one forever? Will I put more energy? I'm not sure yet. I still love coaching one-on-one, but right now I'm loving this and I'll see what opens up. I'm going to follow my highest excitement, follow my passion, and just keep going and trust that.
This is a great time to take a little break. If you are wondering what's next, I would love to speak with you. You can send me a message, and you can also visit my website where you can find more tools to navigate your career change. Now back to our chat. Tina, you're such a creative person. You really are. And you're very curious, and you're very smart, and you're funny. You have so many qualities. I could go on and on. And what you had to obviously learn new skills. We all have to learn new things along the way. So what are the skills that you can admit, like, you know what, I had to work hard on that one to be where you are, to launch your businesses, to start maybe the course, or to learn in whatever you needed to learn in real estate? What are skills that you're like, ooh, okay, I did not anticipate that I would need to learn that?
Well, definitely I found that the creative skill was like the easy skill, right? The performing, it was more so the business side of it. So when you start a
Tell more.
business,
Yes.
yeah,
Tell us more.
So of course I took the coaching certification in the NLP. I'm a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming. I did all these education courses, but I was thrilled too. I was like, give me more. It was like food for my soul. But then I was like, okay, people need to know what I do. Oh yeah, business, marketing, social media, accounting. Actually, while I was at, I think it was MJ or whether I was at Beatles Love, actually, I started this then. I started taking accounting courses. I knew that I'd have to learn numbers and the books. And then I did that for several years, just taking college courses on my own, knowing I needed these skills. Then fast forward now, I think what's really important is the business side of it is where I'm still growing and still learning. What is the most effective way to reach my customer or the people who need to hear this message? That's, I think, my biggest challenge, because being in front of people, teaching the content is easy. That flows right out of me.
And those skills, especially the business skills, you don't know that you need them until you hit that problem of, okay, how do I market myself? How do I use social media to leverage the business and get out there? And you just don't know. So it's next thing after the other. So thank you for sharing that. Within the course that you took, so you took the course, which you got certified. Where do you see this going? Do you see this evolving to a different type of coaching, or NLP is like, I guess, what's the scale of how can you grow that business?
That's a great question. How I see it growing is like I said, I love combining an audience and my message. So I really see this growing to be able to speak to large groups, whether that's a TED Talk someday or just here. I've actually done a few talks here around Las Vegas for different entrepreneurs, different communities. So I'm combining that right now to get my message to a bigger audience at once. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I love the one-on-one. Actually, I'm very good in intimate settings. I think it's really great to have the one-on-one, and it does feed my soul, because you could really tap into the person and get to know them and build rapport, and you have relationship. And I love that. But to grow it, I also see it with the public speaking, which combines the two things that I love. Mm-hmm. And then with the intimacy, Cam and I want to keep growing. We want to do more of these cruises. We want to do, this is still in its infancy stage. We want to get it out there. We have workshops now, but we want to take the workshops maybe, I guess with the cruise, it's international already, but we want to take it more, around the country to different places, maybe different retreats. So yeah, that's how I see it growing.
Tina, what was the hardest part about transitioning from being a dancer to now being a businesswoman?
Yeah, I think, we've created such an identity of being a dancer and finding our worth with these unique jobs. I have to say there is a uniqueness to be able to say, oh, I'm, a Cirque du Soleil performer, or I'm Celine Dion's dance captain. There is this like mystique, and yeah, it feels special. I've attached a lot of worth to that in my whole life. 30 years of a career, I've attached that identity. So part of the challenge for me is, who else am I? Who else am I? And I think one of the things that helped me break out of that and to see that there's beauty in being more than just a dancer is when I became a mom, realizing that moms hold that's a special role. That is such a special, and the love you feel. And that helped me to grow to see myself as more than just a dancer. And so that part was challenging to allow myself to be more than just a dancer and to love myself just as much. And then also not being as physical. Like I love, when you do 2 shows a night, you appreciate how good of shape you're in, right? And now I got to be intentional. On top of being a mom and a businesswoman and all these different companies, we got to find the time, right? Where do you find it? You know?
Yeah.
So that I think that's the part also that I miss, or that's the challenge is I have to be intentional about that now. I have to prioritize being physically healthy, where that was just a byproduct of being, the dancers that we were. It
Oh,
was so nice.
we take it for granted,
Yes. Well, I got
Yeah.
anymore. I'm like, oh gosh, I was in such good shape. Wow.
Yeah. Um, would you say that were there moments where you wanted to give up during that transition, or saying like, oh, you know what, real estate, it's not for
Mm.
me, or coaching, oof, I don't know, I don't think this is for me, or yeah, tell us more about that.
Oh gosh, those are really great questions because I think we're faced with those moments. Those are those challenging moments when an obstacle comes in your way and you're like, what does this mean? And we like to define it as that I'm giving up, but it's not for me. Thankfully, because I've studied mindset, it really helps in these moments. And I get more curious. I think, like you said, like, why am I feeling these emotions? What is it specifically? For example, I remember when I was doing the accounting for 9 of my properties, doing 2 shows and just being like, I am so overwhelmed. Like, I can't do this. And being like, okay, let's reflect. Is it I don't like real estate, or I just need help?
Mhm.
I just need to kind of pass on the responsibility. And that's when I'm like, maybe I should get an accountant. I don't need to wear all the hats anymore. And I realized when I let go of that responsibility, I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel so
Yeah.
bad anymore. It's not that I didn't like. Or for example, with my coaching, I had this moment where I was sitting at the desk all the time and I'm like, okay, I love the coaching, but my body doesn't feel right. And that's where I had the moment of like, okay, I need to be on my feet. I got curious. Is it the coaching, or is it just something about how I'm doing it that can change and actually help me? And I was like, oh, so I just need to be on my feet. I just need to
Yeah.
move around. I need to be in front of people. Now I'm fired up. Now I'm like, woo, yeah, give me more. I'm energetic. So it's like when I reached those moments, I had to get curious and ask myself, where is this coming from? Is
Mhm.
it the actual thing that I'm doing that I need to give up on? Or is it just an aspect that maybe I can offload, or I can maybe change the path a little bit?
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah.
the things that really helped me.
With the real estate, Tina, what would you recommend to someone that is interested? Maybe they're still performing or they're done performing and they would like to invest or follow that path your path in real estate. Where should they start? Where should they start? For
Yeah.
step 1, 2, and 3.
Step
Not
1, 2, and
step
3.
100. Yeah.
Well, in my experience, the first step I did was I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by
Okay.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yep.
That book changed my life. It just changed my perspective of how I viewed money, how I could get money to work for me. And then maybe you do just the next small step. Maybe see if you qualify for a loan. You know what I mean? Maybe just take the next thing. If I wanted to do this, well, I need to maybe mortgage the house. So let me just see if I qualify. So you just make that next step to see if you do. And then if you do, maybe I just find a realtor. Let's just go have fun. Maybe make it more playful and just like, let me go and see. I don't have to make any decisions just yet, but let me just see. And then that can get the wheels turning. Just some small steps. Read a book, get some knowledge, make sure you've got the money in place, and then just go have fun shopping. That's
It's
what I
so
would
true.
say.
Go shop for a house.
Go shop for us. But you know what? It's so important to see what's out there. Because when I started seeing houses, I'd like, oh, I love this type of house. Okay, no, I don't like this. Or maybe it's, who do I want to rent to? How it started for me is I saw that all my Cirque du Soleil friends were coming from foreign countries and they didn't have a place to live. And a lot of people didn't want to give them the opportunity to rent from them because they didn't have credit. They had zero history. But I'm like, well, I know where you work. I know you got a paycheck. I'll see you tomorrow if you don't pay me rent. So it was easy. I could trust them instantly. And I've actually made some lifelong friends, and I've probably rented to, gosh, at least 25 Cirque du Soleil artists through the years. So maybe that's another way. Who would I like to rent to? Thinking about it that way. Or what are my goals? What am I trying to do? Do I want to live in it and have some friends live with me and we just split the cost? So I think those are some ideas just to play with.
What are the things that you really enjoy about your businesses currently? And also, what are the things that you don't really like, right?
Yeah,
It's
there's
both.
always,
It's both.
it's always, everything's got
Yeah.
its shadow side and
Just
its light side.
Yeah, for someone that, hear your story and is interested either in real estate or being a coach, what are the things that I think we have an idea of what you absolutely love, but still, what also the things that, you don't really like, but you still do because you love, obviously, your career and your
Yeah,
projects.
what I'm learning to enjoy is advertising myself. Like putting myself out there and reframing it, and that people, I don't want to create a story about how people perceive me. I don't know how they perceive me, but I know that if they need to hear this message, I got to put it out there. You know what I mean? And just trusting in my own vibration that if someone likes me, they're going to love me. And that's you know what I mean? I'm trying to reach them and letting go of feeling judged or judgment. I think those are the challenging parts, the marketing and putting yourself out there. A lot of it was just reframing that I'm putting my message out there for someone who needs to hear it. This message could change someone's life. With the intimacy, this could really change someone's relationship. This can deepen someone's marriage. This could save someone's marriage. I've worked with some clients where, there was drinking issues and they had to stop drinking and they were able to do it. So who knows how that could have, that's changed their life for the better. Or, I had one client fearful of driving, and it was so much so that they were stuck in their home and they were feeling very isolated and depressed, and just you'd imagine the negative emotions just from that one thing. And so when I was able to help them overcome this fear and work with them where they're driving now hours away and they're able to get a new job and meet friends, that changed their life. So it's like focusing on those of like, what, this message could change someone's life. And, to take the focus maybe off of me of like, oh, what people are thinking of me, to be like, but what can I do for them? And I think that's helpful, a reframe that I use, because it's challenging for me to do that,
Yep.
and so that's where I have to shift my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, totally. The mindset is everything, and you're so good at that. And I love that you're teaching that and you're making a difference for people that need it. That's great. Tina,
Thank you.
let's just think about ourselves in the dressing room. I say us, but any performers really. And this is for anyone. But, you're doing your grind every day. You do your show, whatever it is. It could be your musician, could be a dancer, acrobat, anything. You could even be a coach, whatever it is. And you feel the hitch that, okay, this may be my time. Soon anyway. Maybe not now, but soon. I know we touched base a little bit on that, but what would you say to someone that is a little bit unsettled, borderline afraid to make that transition because it's so comfortable to be in the show, especially when,
Yes.
you do your gig and you go and you love it, but it's easy and it's fun. And what would you recommend to someone that has a bit of fear, but kind of, it's time. How would you,
Well, the first
what
thing I would say is
advice?
is find out what else excites you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer in following your passion and truly what lights you up, and to take the time to explore that. I think it's really important to see what else you enjoy. And maybe that's taking just a fun course, or to notice, where else do I spend my time? If I woke up in the morning, it's my weekend. Woo, I got 2 days off. What am I going to do? What do you do? Start noticing, what kind of shows am I watching? What am I reading? Who am I hanging out with? What would I do naturally if no one paid me and said, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, those are the things to notice, because those are telling you where your interests lie. And I think it's important, once you start noticing them, maybe you take another little deep dive further. Maybe there's someone in that field that's really interesting for you, or maybe you know them. Maybe invite them for coffee. Tell me about this. Tell me about, what you're doing is really interesting. I love that you have a podcast. Can we go for coffee, and tell me, what is it like to do that? And so I think getting more information is always a positive thing. Deep diving into your own set of values. What do you truly value? Because our values are our deepest level programming. And when we understand what we value, like, for example, if you value teamwork or collaboration, then maybe sitting at a desk by yourself in your home isn't the right job for you. So I think when we also look inside, and this is something I work with my clients on, is we find out what they truly value. And so we do this, and we can do this in their career or relationships. but that can help you bring clarity to making decisions in the future. If you know what you value, let's say an opportunity comes up, you've got an opportunity, like, Tina, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at your values. Is this in alignment with your values? Like, let's say you're valuing, I want to, bring in an income. I want to do teamwork. I value creativity. Well, then this particular thing, you're like, well, actually, it's not really paying a lot and I'm by myself. Then it makes it easy to be like, nope, not for me.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
those are really important things to understand about yourself as you're transitioning.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And that's why you took that bookkeeping class. Not really at the time, not a passion, but you had that vision that you identified, wait, I need to learn this to achieve my goal or to move forward. So there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's important to know what you don't want. Like I took it and being like, oh, I'm going to be a savvy accountant. And I was like, you know what? This is not where my deepest passion lies. I'm not excited about this. I feel resistance. And that's another thing, like, oh gosh, I feel resistance to do this. Oh, it's draining me. It's not building me up. It's draining me. Gives me clarity. That's something I need to let someone else do. And I'll focus on, the fun creative part of it, or being in front of the camera, or being in front of the audience where I shine.
Yep. You shine right here.
Yep.
Yay. So Tina, tell us where we can find you for your coaching and for the intimacy course with your husband.
Okay. For coaching, I am Empower with Tina, empowerwithtina.com, or on Instagram at Empower with Tina. And then with my intimacy courses, if you're in a relationship, and I don't want to put it out there, or even just a playmate or someone you like to explore with, doesn't have to be your husband or your wife. It's called Let's Play Intimacy. So we have let'splayintimacy.com or at Let's Play Intimacy on Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to add?
Is there anything I want to add? Mindset, whatever you do, mindset is everything. Notice how you speak to yourself. You notice if you're saying, if you have limiting beliefs or I can't do this, notice what you're saying. Words are so powerful. And I just want to give the invitation, if you're noticing a lot of negative self-talk, I invite you to start, just like you did as an artist, you can learn. Maybe I can learn to do this. Maybe I can. If it's not easy to say, I am this, give yourself the open door, the question of, well, maybe I can learn this. Maybe I can achieve this. Why not me? I just love to ask questions like that. I think they're really fun to play with. And I think it opens your mind up more to bigger perspective. And you can do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yeah, and if you want to work on mindset, like this is what I'd love to do. This is what I work with people all the time. I work with people who are transitioning. Actually, I had a funny opposite transition. I'd love to just share this really quick.
Yeah.
I worked with a woman who was an accountant, who was so practical, who was so like, I need to make money and have a steady paycheck. And, I need this because this is what the real world says I need to do. And as we talked, and we worked together, all she dreamt about was dancing. All she dreamt about was pursuing dance. And so we worked to overcome the fears, the limiting beliefs, the obstacles of like, what about a steady paycheck? What about this? All the things that come up. And I got to tell you, she finally got the courage and overcame the fear, released the fear, reframed it. And now she is like a Zouk world champion, and she does it full time, and she found the partner of her dreams. We even talked to, it's just beautiful how it all unfolds. And so I invite you to keep following your passion, keep following what excites you. Yeah. So there you go. It's fun to hear it in the opposite way. You don't hear it that way too often, but I love that I was able to work with her to do that. And she is just beaming and glowing, doing exactly what she loves.
Thank you, Tina.
Well, you
Thank
are
you so much.
Thank you. I love what you're doing, and I love that you're inspiring others. And this is such a wealth of knowledge and tools for people who are transitioning. So yes, awesome.
Thank you for listening to Recast and Rise. If today's story made a difference, share it with a fellow artist. Also, subscribe to this podcast and write a review so more people can access the stories and the tools shared on this platform. Follow me on my socials for tips and tricks to navigate your career change. Until next time, I will see you in the next episode.